Growing up, I have never been allowed to wear short clothes. I have never been allowed to have guys as friends, let alone a boyfriend. I have never been allowed to wear makeup. I have never been allowed to leave my hair out, let alone get them cut. I have never been allowed to have friends over. I have never been allowed to go to a friend's house day or even a sleepover. I have always been told that I have to be a doctor or an engineer to fit in with the society. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Josheen if you are new here, and let's get right into today's video. So growing up, I have had very strict parents. My relationship with my mom has always been great. She's been like a friend. But my dad, I love our relationship, but he has always been so strict. Disclaimer before we get started, I have a great relationship with both of my parents now at the age of 25. This video is not to put any of my parents down or be like, my parents didn't let me do this, my parents didn't let me do that. No, in fact, this video is to show you guys how I turned my life around and how now I have the most amazing relationship with my parents, just because growing up I didn't have anyone. And if you guys are in the same boat, I would like to be like an elder sister for you guys who can give you a few tips or what's helped me in my journey, and maybe you'll learn a thing or two. As I said before, growing up, I have never had anyone like a big sister or a cousin in my life that I could talk to about what I was going through. It was so hard moving to Australia as a kid because I was at the age of 8, and it was just so crazy because the difference in society, and as you're growing up, you're adapting the Western society. So the change was very hard for me. So I just want to be here for someone that's watching. Everything that I'll be talking about in this video is what I needed as a child. So you are not alone. I have got you. I needed to hear this maybe from my parents, maybe from my cousins, maybe from family friends, maybe from my family, maybe from my friends. I don't know, but I sure didn't hear any of this. I have heard these similar problems that I have grown up with from my friends, from family friends, and from cousins, because I know how hard it can be growing up with immigrant parents, and it's so hard for us, but it's also so hard for them as well on how to parent. So speaking from my experience, I know a lot of people, especially Australian kids, would get this because we are the first generation of kids that are mostly growing up here. I know countries like UK, Canada, and America, this is not necessarily the case. Our parents were most likely born and raised in Punjab. My parents were born in Punjab. I was born in Punjab. We moved here when I was at the age of 8. So that was obviously a big culture shock to our parents. Things such as like going out for dinners as a family. Like, I feel like you don't really do those things in Punjab. Like, maybe it's changing now, and I know it's changing now, because we do the same thing when we go back. You never in Punjab, you don't like go and have dinners together, or you don't go out for breakfast. We're really adapting the Western society, I feel like, living in Australia. So that was a culture shock for our parents, among with a lot of different things. So they still did their best to raise us in this Western country. They weren't used to going to the clubs, to going to the pubs, to going out to restaurants as a family, to going out for breakfast, to going for walks. They didn't really know what it was like, what mental health was like, what it's like having anxiety. They didn't know that in this day and age you can succeed without having a degree. To them, if you tell them this, they'll be like, what, are you crazy? Our parents didn't grow up taking risks. So what do? They play it safe. They tell their kids, do not move out. It's not safe out there. I'm providing for you. I'm giving you everything that you need. So why do you need to move out? They would say things such as, what do you mean you're going overseas to travel alone? It's not safe. What do you mean you don't want a uni degree? That's the only way to succeed, to have a secure financial future. They tell us to respect that family, friend, or relative that even they know is toxic, talks behind their back, and is just not a good person in general, but they still tell us to respect them and to put others before us. I know as brown kids, we have literally been taught this. It's been embedded in us. I feel like till this day and age, I'm so good with like elders. Like, I'm like sat sri akal, like everything, like the way I talk to them, because this is just embedded in me. Like dad, I remember being as a kid, like dad would get so mad. Like it was like a performance. I feel like it almost felt like a performance. Like when someone walked in, you had to greet them. You've got to sit around, even if though you're getting so bored. Oh, I remember those days, guys. Like that was like crazy. Like, it was hard growing up. I feel like it was so difficult in this day and age. If you're a parent watching this, please let your kid go out, experience life, because if you don't, if you just put them in this shell, the temptation to actually step out of the house and see what's really out there for the kid would get higher and higher. and at the end it probably wouldn't even be good for the parent. A teen or even a very young adult, I was never allowed to go to parties, I was never allowed to go to sleepovers as a kid growing up. And it's amazing because it's so different seeing the way my Masi is raising her kids, whereas how I've been raised, because my cousins were actually born here. So just seeing them experiencing everything that I didn't get to experience is amazing, and I love that. The fact that she can go to sleepovers, she can have her friends over, just like a normal childhood that I feel like every kid needs. I didn't really have, but that was just my parents protecting me, so I always would see their perspective as well. I think, and again, I'm not a parent, so I don't know, but I think as parents, we can only just set the right example for the kid, and then it's up to the kid with every value that they have, that it's been embedded in them, what they decide to do with it. For example, if I had a daughter, I would teach her to be strong, make sure she's financially secure, she's got her own money, however it is, obviously to an extent, however that is that she wants to make it. Maybe she wants to be an artist, maybe she wants to be an actor, that's up to her. I would by all means never say that you have to get a uni degree. I feel like time is changing and there's more to life than just uni. I would lead an example of who I am, and maybe that's because I don't drink, maybe because I do a lot of part, I do pray, and that is up to my daughter then to follow or not. Because I know my mom has always been like that, like she doesn't drink, she always does part. But did I grow up like that? No, like I wanted to go to parties, I wanted to do all sorts. It wasn't until now, or the couple, like maybe the age of 21, 22, like I've just changed so much, and that's my parents' values that are now I am more connected to, and I see that I didn't see back then. I think as parents, they can be so scared. They want to protect their child for as long as they can, but what they don't understand is the more we try to shield our children from every risk, we risk robbing them from the resilience and independence that they need to thrive. And this is exactly where I will be leaving it for the parents. Now, switching on to the kids part. Now for the kids part, I promise you guys that it gets better. Like as you grow up, your relationship with your parents changes, and trust me, everything just gets better. You just need to hang in there. I have all the freedom that I want now, or to some extent, any freedom that I want, really, I have it, but I no longer want it anymore. Things that I wanted at the age of 16 and 17, like go out, go get drunk, go to parties, is just something I could not care less about now. Maybe that's an age thing. I was at that age that was like a party drinking age, but even as a young adult, like after the age of 21, like I just didn't care about these things. But having said that, we're all different. If you're someone that does care about that, maybe you're a young teenager, maybe you're a young adult and you want to have those experiences, as you should. I think first of all, it's very important to be safe with the choices that you do make. And just make sure, even if you're going out, even if you're seeing your friends and making some decisions that you know your parents wouldn't necessarily want you to make sure you set your boundaries and you know your boundaries, because you hate what I'm about to say, but your parents did move from a whole different country to this new country so that you can have a better life, you can be educated, you can just have that life that they didn't have growing up. So I think at the end of the day, we should have gratitude, we should be grateful for the life that they have given us. And now, to be clear on this part, now we can move on and actually talk about how we can change that relationship with our parents. Number one is communication with respect. Strict parents, especially in brown households, often value respect and tradition. As hard as it is now, I promise it will just get later. Just talk to them and be open about whatever you want in life from a very young age, as much as you can. What are your desires in life? Like just be talking to them. My example would be that I, from a very young age, would tell my parents that I wanted to be X, Y, and Z, and like my dad was never a fan of it, and which I completely understand. But I think if I had communicated better at a very young age, which I didn't, because I was always so scared of dad and I was always just so scared to open up, and that's when things were like a little bit hard for me as well. I think as parents, we need to make sure that our child is not actually scared of us and that they're open to be able to talk about anything. I think that was what was very scary for me. But if your parent has opened that window for you, like maybe my mom did, that, you know, I can go to talk to them about anything, it's honestly so easy for the kid as well. And if you're a kid watching this, you know how hard it can be to talk to your parents. I've seen this with my cousins. I have one cousin who, for example, his mom really wants him to get married, and he is just like, what do I do? Like, I'm so scared. And I'm just like, it's just about having an open conversation. Like, you're not ready for this, and then just leave the ball in her court and see what she does with it. And I'm like, you know what, you're still so young, you're in your early 20s, and there's more to life than just to get married. And that's just one example. So make sure you're communicating, but you're also not like, you know what, like, this is what I want to do, period. I'm going to leave the house, I'm not going to talk to you, no, because it's just, in a brown household, I know how chaotic that can be. So you definitely don't want to do that. You want to talk to them. Maybe, for example, my cousin's example, the fact that he is in his early 20s, he could be like, Mom, listen, like, this is what I want to do. You've given me this beautiful life and I want to use it. Marriage isn't just all right now. If I don't have anything, what am I going to provide for my partner? I want her to have X, Y, and Z, and I want to be fulfilled as a man. I want to play that role, you know, how I should be able to provide. So just have that mutual respect. I think that's very important. Otherwise, the conversation can be very, very dirty. Number 2 is stand your ground. You want to stand your ground before it's too late. You don't want to become a doctor? Tell them. You don't want to become an engineer? Tell them. Your friends want you to become X, Y, and Z, but you want to become an influencer, an actor, a singer, a dancer? Tell them. I know it's going to be so hard and so scary. Trust me on that. But do you know what's even scarier? You being at the age of 27 and 28, a doctor who's miserable, who hated uni, who hates their job. That to me is more scarier than you at the age of 18 taking your stand, being like, this is what I want to do. And it's okay if at the age 18 is so young. Even at 25, I'm still figuring out my life. So just be like, this is what I want to do. Keep them in the loop. Be like, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if it's for me. Maybe I'm going to give it a try and see if I like it or not. And in a couple of years, I'll know. It's okay. It's okay to be figuring out in your 20s. Your 20s, we get so much pressure in our 20s, and I feel that every single day. I'm like, I'm not there yet. I still need to do X, Y, and Z. But that's your 20s. Your 20s is like a trial of you just figuring out your life. And then once you're like in your late 30s, early 30s, that's when you're like, you know, like the movie's running, I'm okay, like life is going on. But in your 20s, you have to plant little seeds. You want to take your stand now, because you're not going to later on hate your parent, be like, because of my parent, I had to be a doctor. Because of my parents, I had to be an engineer. And now I failed as an engineer, and I failed at achieving my dream. So before you even get at that blaming stage yourself and your parents, just take a stand. Because at the end of the day, there's no one to blame, because you couldn't take a stand for yourself. And one thing, you guys, I'm going to give you like a little secret tip, that one thing our parents are very big on is, once they start seeing the results, they'll come around. I promise. They're your parents at the end of the day. They wouldn't abandon you. They wouldn't break the relation. They will come around. Just give it a couple months, you know, like they, as brown parents, they want to see the results. They know if you study optometry, the results will come in. But if you tell them, for example, you want to become an influencer, they don't know about followers, nothing. But when they see that cash, that money coming in, they'll be like, okay, like you do that. I was looking at this influencers TikTok, and I remember her saying like her parents really wanted her to be X, Y, and Z, and she wasn't ready, but she still got a uni degree anyway. And then she gave it a couple years and she did succeed, and she's like, now my parents are like, what, uni is even so silly, like you're killing it in your game. So as long as what you're doing, you're killing in that game, parents will be fine. They'll come around eventually. Number 3 is take action. Once you have successfully completed the above steps, now it's for you to take action. It's on you to make your parents and yourself proud. People will never believe you if you tell them you're going to be a YouTuber. People will never tell you if you sit here and tell them in 2 years I'm going to be a millionaire. People will never believe you if you sit here and tell them I'm going to build a multi-millionaire business. People unfortunately believe actions, and so do our parents. When they see your actions, when they see your first YouTube check, that is exactly when they'll be like, okay, he knows what he's doing. She knows what she's doing. Nobody believes when you just talk about your goals, when you just sit here constantly telling them, this is my plan, this is my plan. But after a month, you're still talking about your plan, or you're telling them, oh, you know what, like last month was just so hard for me, I couldn't do it. No, that person will think you're a failure. You need to take action. Number 4 is build trust through your action. I started really building my trust with my dad through action when he really started seeing what kind of person I really was. Like he came around and he was like, you know what, like she doesn't drink alcohol. She really doesn't care about that life. She has these 2-3 best friends who she really trusts. and she has grown up with, and I trust those people. It's little things like that. It's meeting them halfway. I know it can be challenging, sometimes it can be so hard, but I just do it anyway, just to keep peace between both parties. Sometimes if I'm hanging out with my friends, like I used to just send dad a couple photos just so he's in the loop, he knows what we're doing, and like that trust is there. And then at the end, it's just happy on both ends. So that's what we do. We meet halfway, we find a common. All right, my loves, that is the end of this video. I really hope that you guys could get a few things out of this video. I know how hard it is as a brown kid growing up in this Western society, because you're stuck in the middle. You want to go out with your friends, but your parents are also like, why the hell are you going out? And I honestly understand. Even though I don't go out and stuff, I still did want to at some point. So I can really relate to like all of this. And if you guys would like me to make a part 2, I would honestly love to. So please let me know, because there's so much more I can talk about. This is like a big topic for me. I can literally go on about this the whole day. And having said that, your relationship with your parents does get better. Just hang in there, just trust. As you get older, it really does get better. As you're so young still, your parents are like, are they trustworthy of making their own decisions? And you need to see where your parents come from, that at the end of the day, they do just want to protect you. So please keep that in your mind. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.